As you come in for landing, a flare causes your canopy to level out so you can have a nice, gentle step down landing. A good flare is timed at about 10 to 12 feet above the ground. If you flare too high or too low, you may have a little bit rougher of a landing. That's why we have a parachute landing fall, which is the best way to convert any vertical speed into a horizontal roll across the ground, protecting your body, arms, ankles, legs as much as possible. If you do start to flare too high, you can stop, hold the flare where it's at, and then finish the flare as you get closer to the ground. If you recognize that your flare is too low, your best chance is to flare as fast as possible and then prepare for the PLF in either scenario. This is what a parachute landing fall looks like, with your chin tucked down to your chest, with your hands in a full flare position, your feet and knees together. You will land, roll up the side of your calf to your thigh, down to your butt, and then crossed over the top of your shoulders. As you can see, this forward speed, or vertical speed downward, is converted into a horizontal sideways roll, absorbing any shock from the landing. Now, leading up to the flare and PLF, we'll talk about the radial signals and landing flare more specifically. First of all, anytime you do a turn, you should scan around and look for other jumpers in the direction that you are turning. Also, below 150 feet, no more aggressive turns. Only minor corrections like we talked about to avoid obstacles or correct for wind drift. And this is about pulling the toggle down about 6 inches for 1, maybe 2 seconds. You're going to watch the ground out in front of you at a 45-degree angle. If you're looking straight down at the ground, it's going to appear like the ground is passing below you, and if you look straight up at the horizon, you're not going to have a good visual perspective on when to flare. Now, when we talk about getting ready to flare, we're going to have you push your arms all the way up as high as they can go, put your feet together, knees together, and then we're going to tell you prepare for PLF. At about 10 to 12 feet above the ground is about when you should flare with your hands all the way down, hold them in the center, and then prepare for the PLF. There are some standard radio commands that we will use to assist you with the landing pattern. We'll say right, right, hard right, hard right. If we say hard right, pull harder on the toggles that you're turning with. Left, left, hard left just means pull down harder on the toggle. And then we'll say stop. When we say stop, let up on the toggles and just stay facing that direction. We may even say hold this heading. If your canopy starts to turn or drift to the left or the right, we're going to want you to correct that and stay facing in the specific direction that we give you. Once you come into flare, what we're going to have you do is we're going to give you the radio command. We're going to say ready and flare, flare, flare. We give you a long exaggerated and so that you know the flare is coming. And then we're going to tell you to PLF. After you land the parachute, if you feel like the canopy or the wind is pulling you, you can pull in one toggle, hand over hand, grab the line, pull the canopy in from one toggle to prevent it from dragging you. Once you are on the ground, once you've landed, once you stand up, don't ever drag the canopy across the ground. Always walk toward the canopy to lift it up. And if you have to, if you do feel like the wind is pulling you, you can't get control of the canopy, or the canopy is pulling you toward some type of a hazard like a highway or barbed wire fence, you can cut away the main parachute so that it no longer drags you. Now, once you're back at the drop zone, your instructor will demonstrate the PLF, show you how it's done, talk you through it a little bit more, and then they will have you demonstrate the PLF for them. They'll want to see you practice it a few times, and you'll also roll to the left and also to the right because you're never really sure exactly which direction the wind's going to be pushing you slightly so that you roll when your feet touch the ground. We'll also practice the radio commands a little bit more to give you a better sense of how we're going to say the radio commands in the air, and so we'll practice both of these at the drop zone. Time for another review. How many gear checks do you get, and when do you get them? What are the parachute decision questions that you ask after the parachute is opening? What is the decision altitude and what does that mean? What are the landing pattern altitudes for the downwind, base, and final? And what are your landing priorities?